So hello and welcome everyone to this video. In this video we will cover a complete introduction to Django framework. So we start off this video by understanding what are web frameworks. Within this we will also understand the different types of web framework. After this we will discuss what is an MVC design pattern, and then we will jump on to what is Django, and we will understand its history, and then we will discuss some of the key features which Django framework offers. After this, we will discuss some of the key areas where Django has been used, and in the last, we will cover some of the key companies that are using Django framework. Now, let's jump on to our first topic. Now, before jumping onto the Django framework, we should all understand what are web frameworks. So, in a nutshell, a web framework is simply a software which is designed to help developers for building dynamic websites, online services, and various web applications. The key role of a web framework is to facilitate development, testing, and publishing web applications and websites. Various web services, APIs, and other resources are example for this. So, frameworks helps in building and developing web applications in a standard and accessible manner. Now there are two types of web framework. First is the server side framework and second is the client side framework. Let's first understand what is server side framework. Now the main role of the server side framework is to set up the application logic on the backend. Due to this it is also known as backend framework. Now it covers various tasks like handling HTTP requests, managing and controlling database, managing the URL mapping, etc. Now these frameworks are used to increase the security and simplify the development process. Now some well-known examples of the server-side frameworks are Django, which is built on Python. Then there is Ruby on Rails, which is built on Ruby. Then there is .NET, which is based on C#. Now the second type is the client-side framework. Their key role is to work with the front end, due to which they are also known as front-end framework. Now they help in adding several animation features to enhance and develop new user interfaces. So the server-side framework is more related towards the application logic, and the client-side framework is more related to the user interface. So some well-known example of client-side servers are React.js, Angular, Vue.js, Ember.js, etc. Next, let's understand what is an MVC design pattern. So MVC stands for Model View Controller. So it is an architecture pattern which is utilized for designing and building applications. Now the main role of this MVC design pattern is to divide the application into three main sections. First is the model, second is the view, and third is the controller. Now these three different sections helps in implementing three different things of an application. For example, model is responsible for holding the application data. So in very simple terms, all the data that is there in our application is handled by the model. After this, there is a view which is responsible for displaying the data from model to the user. Now the key role of view is to portray how the data should be represented to the end user. And then there is a controller which plays a very huge role in this MVC design pattern. Now the controller is in charge of most of the jobs. It serves as a link between the model and the view component. We can understand this MVC design pattern better by this diagram, where we can see a user makes a request using a browser. So the request first goes to the controller. Now controller here is responsible for sending a request whether to gather some data from this model or to update some data in this model. Then it renders the request to the view, and then view is responsible to sending the final result back to the user. So I guess with this we get a clear idea related to MVC. Next, let's understand Django. So Django is a Python based free and open source framework that helps in creating secure and manageable websites. So as we discussed previously, so Django is a server-side web framework. Now it is also based upon MVC architecture, but in case of Django it is referred as MVT, and the architecture of this MVT is little different from MVC. So if we look in our previous diagram, we can see here controller was responsible for all the tasks, but in the case of MVT it is Django itself. The Django server itself is responsible for managing things. So first a request goes through the Django server. A request is basically a URL. Now a URL has been mapped to a view. So in case of Django, view is the place where all the application logic has been built, and to build this application logic we will use Python programming, and based upon this logic either the data will be fetched or updated on this model. So in Django, model is same as we discussed in MVC, but instead of controller we have template. Now template is the place where we will manage all of our front end. So all the HTML, CSS or JavaScript will be managed under this template, and based upon the request the data has been fetched, processed, and then it is been sent back to the user. Next, let's understand the history of Django. So Django was started as an internal project in a news agency firm named Lawrence Journal World newspaper, and it was started by Adrian Holvati and Simon Wilson. So by 2005, Django was publicly released under BSD license, and after 2005, Django has matured to the point where it can handle numerous high traffic sites. So after 2005, Django started becoming more and more popular, due to which in 2008, Django Software Foundation was formed, and currently this Django Software Foundation is responsible to maintain the Django framework. Now, starting from 2005 to till date, there are many releases made in Django which focuses on new features and making it efficient enough to build any type of web application. However, the current latest version of Django is 4.0.2. Next, let's look at some of the key features that Django framework offers. So the very first one is it excellent documentation. So since its origin, Django has been greatest at the documentation from the time it's become open source to the present date, and the documentation has only become better with active technology development, and it is also available in other languages. The second key feature of Django is its open source nature. So Django is freely available, thus it is an open source web application framework. It simply means the source code is freely available to the public. The third important feature of Django is its well supported community. So Django has a large and a friendly community, as well as there are various channels for sharing and connecting. Now, as Django is a Python based framework, Python is also one of the main factors for learning Django, because Python is quite straightforward to use and it also comes with wide range of features and libraries. Now, the main motive to build Django was rapid development, so that we can build application in less time. So rapid development is also one of the key features where we don't have to start from the scratch while working with Django. We simply needs to understand some of the basics related to backend, and Django will take care of majority of the task. Now, to code in Django, we use this DRY approach, don't repeat yourself, where it encourages production of maintainable and reusable code to save users time, and developers can reuse current code and focus on the new ones. Now, as Django is based upon Python, it also follows the OOP paradigm. It means we can write classes and extend other classes and methods as well. Now, Django is a web framework which supports multiple languages. So in Django, we uses the concept of internationalization and localization. So this feature basically allows developers to define which part of our web application should be in which language. Now there are many frameworks which doesn't provide any admin interface, but Django is one of the frameworks which provides many features, and admin interface is one of them. So by using Django, we don't need to build the admin interface from scratch. By default, it provides a built-in admin interface that we can use and extend. Now, Django also takes security very seriously and assists developers in avoiding several common security blunders. Now, scalability is one of the key features of Django, due to which it is quite popular. So we can basically use Django to build application from very small scale to very large scale. Plus, building projects in Django are quite fast and flexible. The next feature of Django is that it comes fully loaded with modules and libraries that may be used to handle standard web development jobs. So Django is a very versatile framework that may be used to create application in a variety of domains. Companies are now adopting Django to create a variety of applications such as content management system, social networking sites, scientific computing platform, and many more. Now let's move to the next topic. Now here let's discuss some of the key application areas of Django. So very first is the customer relation management and content management system. After this, Django can be used for building community platforms, and Django also comes with many modules which can help in building emailing system. Plus we can integrate machine learning tools using Python in Django, so we can build machine learning based platforms as well. In the same manner, we can integrate some of the tools with Django and build a data analysis system which can perform complex calculations. And in the last, we can say Django is also used to construct verification system as well. Now next, let's look at some of the key companies that are using Django. So I guess YouTube doesn't require any brief introduction. So YouTube was originally started in PHP, but due to rapid audience growth and need to quickly incorporate new features, the YouTube team decided to join the Django community. So after after this, Instagram is also using Django. So Instagram is a very popular social media platform that handles a lot of media data and user interaction. So Instagram basically utilizes Django for adding new features and handling some of the key difficulties to run their platform smoothly. So other than Instagram, companies like NASA and Spotify are also using Django for handling some of their key tasks. Other than this, companies like Dropbox, Reddit, and Mozilla are also using Django. So with this, we have come to the end of this video session. We will see you in the next one. Thank you.